Hola guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I want to talk to you guys about the next books that I have read. Technically there's 6, but one of them was Pride and Prejudice reread. I have a bunch back there, so that doesn't, not that it doesn't count, but I'm not really going to talk about that because I've read that a million bajillion times. So the first book that I read for the first time this past few weeks has been The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is a high fantasy about a young woman. Her name is Rin. She decides she's an orphan. She's a war orphan, and the foster parents that she lives with are absolutely awful. They decide that they want to marry her off to this rich man because he's going to pay them a lot of money for her, and she can't have that. So she steals from them to pay a tutor to teach her and to train her. So what she wants to do is take this exam that happens in where she's from that can essentially provide her with a career. So there are different places that she can go, different schools, different institutions that she can join depending on how well she does on the exam. Only one of them provides a free ride to a place where she can be trained, essentially to become a soldier. So she has to not only pass the exam but be the absolute best and number one where she comes from, so that she can be given a free ride to this institution. Where she wants to go is called the synagogue, and they essentially train nothing but war leaders there and heroes. So she does pass, she gets the best score, and she gets a ride to the synagogue. But when she gets there, things go horribly for her. She is darker skinned than everybody there, so she faces a lot of discrimination, a lot of hate, and just everybody is kind of intent on making her life as miserable as possible because she speaks differently, because she looks differently, because she is poor, and they essentially don't think that she belongs there. And she starts to really notice things about her society that she didn't know before, or that she hadn't really realized before. So she gets a huge reality check, but she's an incredibly resilient character, and I really appreciated that about Rin. And she overcomes all of her obstacles, and she finds that she has sort of these abilities that she doesn't know anything about. And one of the probably the most strange and peculiar teacher at the synagogue decides to take her under her wing and teach her the ways of what she's able to do, which is essentially be an in-between between the mortal world and their gods, and she can communicate with them. But things go awry very quickly. It is a very dark fantasy, and it almost sneaks up on you. Before you know it, you're seeing people OD on these drugs, and there is horrible torture and rape and murder, horrible war crimes. It is a very dark fantasy, but I couldn't put it down. Rin is an incredibly flawed but very complex character that is very interesting to read about. There's a lot of political intrigue if you enjoy that, a lot of sort of history woven into the story. So if you enjoy that type of fantasy, I would really recommend it. Then I read a Pakistani retelling of Pride and Prejudice called Unmarriageable by Sonia Kamal, and this was delightful. It was great. I had just finished reading Pride and Prejudice, and so it was great to see a different take on it. It's set in the early 2000s, and it is ripe with Pakistani culture and a lot of social commentary. Sometimes it can feel a little bit kind of over your head, kind of banging you over your head with it, but overall it was great. It was funny. We do have I like what they did with Kitty, Sister Kitty. She in this retelling, she's fat, and she is really her own person a lot more in this novel than in the original, and we see how she deals with that and how her family treats her and how she you know, kind of ends up, and I really thought it was great. And yeah, I really recommend it if you like Pride and Prejudice, if you like romance, if you like contemporary. I think you would enjoy that one. Then I continued on with my Library Lovers mystery series, and I read number 5, which is called Unborrowed Time by Jen McKinley. And again, I really enjoyed it, like I have all the other 4 in the series. This one was cool because you got to see more of the main character's personal family, which is great. So this time she is solving a murder, but also her brother is kidnapped, so she's kind of really personally involved in what's going on. So still really enjoying that. Starting to get a little bit away from the love triangle, which I'm excited about because we kind of hit peak love triangle last book and I didn't really like it, as I mentioned in my last wrap up. So I think we're starting to get away from that, which is great. Then I read my, I think what's like my first legit romance of the year. It's called A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, and this is the Reluctant Royals series number 1. And this is about a young black woman in New York City. She is a human health grad student, and her friend decides to pay to have one of these sort of DNA tests done. And unbeknownst to our main character, her name is Naledi, there is this African nation that is looking for her. And when she joins this DNA test thing, they somehow find out about it and they start to contact her. And she thinks that she's getting spammed by someone pretending to be a prince looking for her. And she thinks that she's being spammed and she's really annoyed by it. But of course, little does she know, as you can imagine, that she is actually the person that they're looking for, and it is actually a prince that she's looking for. So this is a mistaken identity romance, kind of with lots of hints of social commentary, such as like gentrification, women in STEM, lack of funds for STEM, things like that. And it was really cute. It was really funny. I loved the characters. Mistaken identity romances and storylines in general always make me very like, because I know that they're gonna find out the truth at some point, and the person that was lied to is gonna be upset about it, and I just want everybody to be happy and in love. And of course that's how it ends up. It's great and it's fun. It was a lot of fun to read this one, but you do suffer a little bit in the middle when she finds out that the person that she really likes, it's not just some guy that she met in her job. It is actually this prince who knows all about her, and she's very upset. So I really recommend it if you're trying to get into romance, if you're trying to sort of diversify your reads. It's an all black cast of characters. Then I really recommend it. And I think there are 3 in the series so far, with like a novella that focuses on one of our side characters, which is a lesbian, which I'm really excited to read. But I'm very excited to read everything that Alyssa Cole has written because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like just really fun and quick, but I really liked the characters as well. It was great. Then I just finished reading Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, which is my last of her novels, and I loved it so much. I knew almost nothing about it because I think it's like one of her least popular ones. I was reading some of the reviews on Goodreads and they were saying that it's really dull, and I didn't really feel that way at all. I think this is definitely the type of book for people who enjoy character-driven novels. This is much more focused on the characters and on their lives and on their relationships and the family dynamic rather than any sort of plot. So little happens because we're so much focused on trying to dissect these people and their personalities and Fanny as a character. So Fanny Price is born to a family, to parents that are not well off and who are having kid after kid after kid after kid. And so her mother has two sisters, and one of them sort of is one of these people that just likes to instigate a lot of things, just to make other people do things but not do anything herself, but sort of take credit for the work done by other people, and when things go right she likes to take credit. So she kind of gets it into her other sister's head that they should take in one of the many kids had by Fanny's mom, and the kid that they end up taking in is Fanny, and she lives with her two aunts in Mansfield Park, and she grew up there, she's educated there, she's never really fully appreciated there, and she's a very quiet, very introverted character, and so she is always in the shadows and she's underestimated a lot. And you see all of these characters develop and all of their relationships develop, and you see everything happen through Fanny's eyes, and she is very quiet, but she is a very good judge of character, and you see how she doesn't miss a beat with anybody, and she sees right through them. And it was so great. I really grew to enjoy Fanny's voice and then really care for her as a character, so much so that I finished this last night and I find myself missing her and missing the story and wishing that I still had more to read. But you guys know that I really like quiet stories. I like character-driven stories more so than plot-driven stories, and I just love this. It was such a delight, and I really highly recommend watching Olive over at A Book Olive's review about it. She does a full defense of Fanny Price because she just kind of gets shit on for not being as, like, I guess, super kick-ass as Lizzie or Emma or any of them. But I think that maybe Jane Austen probably was more like Fanny Price. I don't know, there's just like this care given to Fanny that I feel like maybe speaks to how Jane Austen was as a person. Maybe I'm just reading into it, but I thought it was lovely. I loved it. The only thing is that I do wish we would have gotten to see more of Fanny's love story develop towards the end, because you always see how she feels and who she feels everything towards, but you don't see the fruition of it as much as I wish. But it really is a story about Fanny herself, and of that you get, and you know, many amazing pages. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I will link Olive's video down below because I really think that you should watch it. And so those are the last few books that I have read. I am currently reading Widows of Malabar Hill by Sujata Massey. This is the first in the Mystery of 1920s India. It is a mystery and I'm really enjoying it, but I'm only like 40 pages in, I think. 42 pages in, and I really like it. Yes? Okay, I'm almost done. And then I'm also reading When I Was Puerto Rican by Esmeralda Santiago, but in Spanish, and really enjoying it. So yes, as always, thank you for watching and for listening. I love you guys very much. See you on the next one.